fact, Abdul, when you see Phil at the Giants facility, you have the green light for me to punch him in the arm as much as you want. In fact, my dad will probably like it. He'll be like, oh, this guy likes me a lot.
On second thought, you can have my number. Just take it. I don't care what anyone says.
Oh, yeah, baby. What's up? It's Chris Sims. It's Chris Sims Unbuttoned. It's a Monday. We're here. Ahmed for Reed. There's nothing all that great going on this past weekend in the football world, but we got some news to talk about. We got some things to talk about. We got schedule unveiling.
Okay.
All right. We got our first game of the year we're going to talk about.
Okay.
We're going to dive into some other things going on in the NFL. If you haven't heard, the Saints starting quarterback said, see ya, NFL. I'm retiring. So we're going to break that down. But more importantly, I'm going here to hang out with you for the next hour or so.
That's what I do.
As
Monday,
always.
well, like Mondays are always rough.
Wow.
Right? You're just like, what am I doing? Just like, can we just have one more day where we do nothing?
Right.
And no, you got to do something.
This time of the year, yes. And it's gotten, my weekends now, as I told you before we came on air, I'm in my midst of my quarterback rankings, right? So I was a little like pulling my hair out this weekend. Like, I can't believe I'm in the midst of this again.
And some of the commenters on YouTube don't think you have any hair to pull out.
You're right.
They
think I'm doing a comb over, and I'm going to be like, what? I mean, there's no spots here. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm with you.
But more impressively is, do you wake up and do you go, what shirt will match my beard and hair today? Or how did you work that out there?
I end up just going now with, like, do I have a black or a gray shirt? Good. What am I going to put over it?
Okay.
And that's it. It's very...
You're getting to the end of sweater time right here in the Northeast. You're pushing the limits, let me just say. The zip-up sweater in mid-May is a little bold, I was going to say. It is 72 out today here.
It's Monday. I didn't want to have to think any more than I've been thinking already. I've been wearing sweaters for 5 months now.
I know.
To keep wearing it.
All right, I won't call you out anymore.
No, but you got me pumped up there. I was like, okay, what are we going to talk about? But then you started listing some things, and I was like, yeah, this is a pretty good show here.
We got some stuff. And Pete came up with the idea of who said it. Is that what we're going to say?
Yeah.
Or, who's done said it, or whatever. I don't know what we're going to call it.
Who's done said it?
Yeah, who's done said it? We're going to figure it out.
Sound bites, rookies. Yeah, look who's talking from the rookie mini camps. They've been happening, so we've been seeing some football there with some of the young guys who just got drafted. So we're going to hear from them. Yeah. We're going to connect some dots there. I also spent an hour while we were at home on the weekend when I was doing nothing. In between doing nothing, I looked at stats.
Yeah.
And so what I'm going to do is I found a few that were interesting to me. I don't know if they're going to be interesting to anyone else. Hopefully
You're usually kind of good at this.
I've got a few.
Right.
I'm going to read them.
Yeah.
And then we're going to react to them.
Okay. You found random stats you're telling me that
digging.
you were I'm shocked this team was that good at this or that bad at this.
This
yet they
player,
were a good team.
or wow, this is crazy. Yeah,
okay.
I went to Pro Football Reference.
Good.
Went through there and I compiled a few.
All right.
We'll save that. We'll save that to the end. But we start with dun 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 dun. We have our first game.
Yeah, that's our first one of the year from you.
There it is. You're hearing
There's the music.
I need to listen to this because you and Matt Casey say I don't have it right.
Your ending is not right.
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
That's what you mess up during the season. That's what you mess up. You start off right, and then the end is like, wait, that's not the damn. You're off chord. You're off base.
You're right. And so instead of practicing, I just gave up. I just do the first few notes now. But this is our game. We will not give up on this. Thursday, September 4th, Cowboys versus Eagles. NFC East, NBC, also streaming on Peacock. Did you know you're going to be there?
Yeah,
so
we'll be there on the field. Right.
They didn't throw anything at you last
time.
No,
they didn't. They threw a few 4-letter words at me. They did do that, and I threw some back. So don't you worry.
Yeah.
All right? But yeah, I don't. You're gonna have to deal with that there. And I was having this conversation with Florio today because he's like, they kind of liked me. He's like, I think they kind of recognize I'm an asshole. So like assholes like assholes. And then he's like, wait, I'm not calling them assholes. I'm just saying I am one, and they appreciate it, right? And whatever. And I was like, well, what about me? I am. And he's like, well, your name's Sims. I mean, they're not going to like you no matter what, right? And I was like, yeah, that's a solid point. I don't think I'm ever going to win that one.
Did you have any inkling this was our game? Did you hear through the tea leaf grapevine?
No, I did not.
You
I
found
had
out
no
like
idea.
The rest of us normal people.
I feel like I've heard more about the Friday night game where where the hell is it
it's
this year?
Not even ours. I think it might be YouTube.
Yeah, it's YouTube, but I don't remember what continent or country we're playing
Brazil.
in. Is it still Brazil?
Yeah.
Okay. That I've heard more. I feel like under the radar, everybody thinks that's going to be Chiefs Chargers. And I don't know that, and it hasn't been unveiled, but you've heard the same thing, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
This one, I wasn't sure where this was going to go, okay? And it's by far the most most common Sunday night football matchup we've had on NBC. Now, this is a kickoff game, so maybe that's a little different.
Yeah.
There were some options out there that you looked at to where you go, damn, I was kind of hoping for Lions. I'm not going to lie. Yeah. Lions going there, the team that we thought was going to be in the Super Bowl or the NFC Championship game against the Eagles last year, right? So to see that, and I think the Lions would have been a team that were like, damn, screw you guys. If we didn't get hurt, we would have won the Super Bowl, right? Yeah. I would have liked that. Big, bad, bully-type teams. The Commanders is another one that was up there with me.
That would have been cool.
Right? The Rams, because of what we saw in the playoff game.
True.
Right? The Rams had them on the ropes. And even the Broncos with, like, Sean Payton and Bo Nix coming to town. These are the teams that were, on the schedule to go to Philadelphia. I thought they were interesting, but I'm not disappointed with the Dallas Cowboys. I think there's a lot of good things there. How you feel about it?
I like it too because it's like the Cowboys it's a new era, right?
So you
kick off a new era,
right?
And Pete put this in a rundown. He goes, "This is the worst case scenario for Brian Schottenheimer because it's like you got this big matchup, prime time, national window. It's like Eagles, tough matchup. You might lose, you might get blown out. Right. Who knows?
But is it? I don't.
The Lions had one. The Lions had one a couple years ago against the Chiefs,
and
everyone's like, "Oh God, the Lions finally getting good. Now they got to go to the Chiefs and play that game." And I thought of it like this: if they go there. And if they get blown out, it's like, all right, well, that makes sense, right? It's like no one's really that shocked. Right. It's like where the Cowboys were last year, wouldn't be that shocked. But I was like, for the Lions, if they go and compete and it's a close game, that's a win. If they go there and win, that's a real win.
Of course.
So I almost thought like it was a no-lose situation. And I know Cowboys-Eagles is never a no-lose if you lose to the Eagles. But from my perspective, if it's like the Lions a couple years ago, if you go there and compete and even don't win, that's a win for Brian Schottenheimer.
It's a positive. Yeah, I think there's a lot of ways you can look at this. First off, it is the Dallas Cowboys. They're a big-time name. People tune in to watch them. They're especially early in the season because, again, it's safe. They haven't lost. They're still in the playoff conversation.
500, yeah.
But the matchup does change with George Pickens there, right?
That's
say,
true.
okay, George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott, they're coming to town. We talked a little bit last week. Their team is more talented than people give it credit for, right? The O-line's pretty real, right? We know the running backs could be a little bit better, but tight end's not bad. Receivers pretty damn good now. We talked about the defensive line and front seven's got a little more talent than I think people give it credit for. We know the secondary has got some ballers with Diggs and Deron Bland. As the corner position there. So I don't look at this. I think a lot of people, I'm not saying I'm going to put the Cowboys in the playoffs, but I think the Cowboys have enough talent to be a playoff contender type of football team and be in the mix. Let alone they are the Cowboys. They're prideful. It's going to be cool. This is the Eagles. This is one of their biggest rivals is the Cowboys. We're raising the banner the night they're there. This the team that hasn't been to the NFC Championship game in 30 years. We're here to raise the banner for the second time in 8 years and basically be like, hey, you were America's team and America is diddly squat right now. You can't run the NFC East. We run it, right? So I think that's cool too. I do like that aspect. And now back to the question of is it setting up Schottenheimer for failure?
Yeah.
There's a lot of ways where I'd go, this is when you want to play them. This is the time to do it. Let's not wait till week 5 until they get all greased up and they're playing good football, right? This is off the Super Bowl. You might catch them. We're still been touring around the country. We're awesome. Oh, it's Dallas coming into town. So what? We own them the last few years. Every time we need to beat them, we beat them. Oh, Brian Schottenheimer's the coach. Come on. And then there's going to be the distraction of champion 2024 NFL Super Bowl. And that's distraction. And then your mind's going to go back to last year for a second and all that. I think if there's a time to catch them off guard, this is the time. And plus, you're going to have that fear of, oh, my gosh, we got to go to Philly in a month. We got to go to Philly. We got to get ready in training camp. It's Philly. It's what Chris Sims says is maybe the best team ever orchestrated this century. Like, that's how good I think so they're going to be on edge. And I do think Dallas, I'll give them credit too, they're usually ready for a good show. Went to Tampa a few years ago when they led off the season there, right, with Brady. That was an awesome game. An unbelievable game, and they were ready to go and ready to duel it out. I think they'll rise to the challenge, and I'm excited for a good rivalry game, and hopefully I don't get anything thrown at me.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with that. You don't want to go there when you're 1-4 and you have to win, or a slow start to the season. Now you go to Philadelphia, you're like, oh God, our season's over.
You hope you catch them where they didn't play a lot in training camp, they didn't practice I'm playing the preseason.
Yeah,
I hope maybe Jalen Hurts will miss a throw or two. Maybe we get Saquon to fumble just because he hasn't been hit a lot yet this year.
Well, that'll be the thing
Those
too.
Are the things you want, you hope for in the matchup.
That'll be the thing too. Can they stop the run? Because that was the thing last year. They could not stop the run. And now you get Saquon Barkley in week number 1, and if you make it hard for him, you're like, all right, maybe we're turning things around here a little bit. Now, Pete has put this in a rundown as well.
Okay.
Pop quiz time.
Oh, pop quiz.
Football historian.
Yeah.
Defending champions are 15-4 when hosting the kickoff night game. Who suffered the 4 losses? I have no chance on getting that.
Okay, hold on.
But wait, I do. I have
one.
one.
One is just the one we just talked about.
There we go. All right.
Okay.
So my Lions.
The Chiefs lost to the Lions.
Okay, there we go.
Okay.
I'll give you that one.
Okay. Wow. Hold on a second here. I got to just go back and think of teams and who kicked
played?
Off and who did that. The Rams lost to the Bills.
Wow,
Okay.
well done.
Yep.
Rams
So
losing
that's
to the
one.
Bills. That was 2022.
Hold on. Don't give up on me yet here. Let me just think of some
Never
other
do that.
ones. We don't ever give up on me. Okay. Wow, 2017, no, that was the Eagles. They won it. The Patriots, one of the years, lost to the Kansas City Chiefs. No, but that wasn't the kickoff. Yeah, it was a kickoff game.
There it is, 2017.
That was the Kareem Hunt unveiling, right?
42-27.
Yeah, okay, so I'm 3 for 3. Okay, hold on. I got more for you. Let me just think about this. Do I have to go back to like the single-digit years here, Pete? Nope, it's in this last 2010s. Wow, okay, now the pressure's really on me here. The Falcons, hold on, who did they play? I don't remember who they played to start the year they won the Super Bowl. I'm going to go with that. I think they lost. Oh, yeah, duh. I've been looking at Bill Belichick's girlfriend's T-shirt too much lately. I'm sorry about that. Hold on a second. There's got to be one more. Denver, I believe, won. Oh,
painful one.
It's a painful one. It means it's the Giants. So the
next
Giants
year
next year, who'd they lose to? The Cowboys, Pete?
It was the Cowboys.
Okay, so I got 3 out of the 4. Pete helped on that other one. I don't remember that game, Pete, the 24-7 loss.
Kevin Ogletree, 114 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Wow, okay. I kind of vaguely remember
Cowboys,
that.
okay.
I do, but yeah, so the Giants, the year they came off beating the Patriots the second time around, lost to the Cowboys on that Monday night, or that first kickoff game, to the Cowboys, which I vaguely remember there. But other than that, I was a football historian.
Oh, in true Chris Sims fashion, you were able to go back in time and recall things that I would never think you'd be able to recall, and at the same time give the Falcons a Super Bowl champion.
28-3. It really did mess with my brain. I feel like I've seen that so much because of Bill Belichick's girlfriend lately. I honestly think it did confuse my brain.
Must have been the final. What could have gone wrong? All right, so that trip down memory lane there. We're excited for Thursday game. We're going to find out about our Sunday game. We don't know our Sunday game yet.
No, I wonder. I feel like it
I think
has.
Matt Casey might know.
I feel like somebody in our building does know. I feel like it's going to be NFC North-ish. That's where I feel like I want to go.
Rams last
year. Packers, your Bears, the Lions, somebody like that. I certainly could see any of those. The Vikings, you can't really go wrong with any of those 4 teams.
No.
But as it stands right now, if we think the Friday game is going to be Chiefs-Chargers, we're looking at 2 division rivals to start off the season. Is that going to be the theme of week 1? That was one of the things I said to Florio this morning. Are we going to see a lot of division matchups here to start off the year? I don't know, but I'm always excited to see the games come out and kind of start to get a feel for that opening weekend.
One thing I know for sure, our Sunday night game, our first one, will not involve the New Orleans Saints. But they did have some big news.
They
did have some big news. Derek Carr has retired. And so this was one of those where you look at it, and I'm just like, whoa, holy crap.
I know.
I was like, what's going on here?
I wasn't expecting it. Right?
So the 34-year-old, his 11-season run is done now. He has degenerative damage in his throwing shoulder. It would have likely kept him out of 2025 if he had surgery, I guess. He still wouldn't have been guaranteed to have full power in his arm again, and so he weighed all those different things, and he said, I'm done. I'm quite shocking news over the weekend.
Well, it was shocking. First off, the whole way I think everything went down was kind of shocking when you really talk about Derek Carr in the last few months and all of that, right? I think that, one, like you've heard me say, I don't think the Saints really wanted to keep Derek Carr from the get-go. And because of the contract and some of those issues there, their hands were tied to where, we got to keep him, or if we don't keep him, we're going to have to cut a whole bunch of other people on our team because of some of the issues there. So there's that aspect. Then there was the aspect of, wait, it gets to March and you're just now realizing your shoulder's hurt, right? And I know not every quarterback's the same, but one thing I've talked about a lot, and I talked about this with Florio, is just like, wait till March to throw a football from when the season's over. To me, that's a long time. I understand everybody takes a break, right? But I was a guy that was like, okay, the regular season's over, first week of January, late December, whatever. By the end of January, right, I was going to pick up a football and at least throw it. I wasn't going to go like, I'm going to go 12 weeks without feeling the one thing that makes my living in the world go, right? I'm not going to do that. And I know there's a lot of other quarterbacks that way too. So that was a little odd. And when that happened, I was like, wait, is he playing some politics here and trying to not get them to draft a quarterback or, make a team jump over the Saints to draft a quarterback they might like? Like, what's going on here, right? But then they start to hear from some people that I do trust around, and they're like, no, it's a real situation. And you brought up the degenerative labor around the shoulder. Yeah, that's serious. And I think he's at a point in his career and his life where he's going, wait, team doesn't really like me. Do I really want to go get surgery, which is going to be a really tough rehab process? It's not easy. You see those people that are in the sling with the pad on and you can't move or do anything, let alone then it becomes time to wait. You got to throw, and it takes a long time to build that back up. I think he looked at it and went, do I really want to go all through all that? I'm not going to be back with the Saints, and I won't be a starting quarterback anywhere. I'm going to have to go somewhere and really probably be a backup. And looked at it as like, hey, the veteran backup guy who's played a lot and got experience, that's who and I move my family around and do all that. I've made $200 million. Do I really want to do that at this point in my life? And I think he looked at it and just said, you know what? That's it. My time's done. I'm beat up. I got young kids. I'm not going to do, I got to call it quits. I'm not going to move my family around everywhere. And he says, see you later. And now the Saints are in a spot where, the quarterback position is very dicey for sure.
Yeah, before we talk about that, just put a button on Derek Carr. Top of the second round.
Yeah.
I think overachiever in some people's eyes.
One of my first, I told you, one of my first really landmark, quarterback evaluations. This is when I just started in the business, right? I had just left working for the New England Patriots. This is one of the first drafts I really was like, hey, I don't work for a team, or I'm not in the NFL here. I'm going to do my own work. And I was one at the time that was like, man, Derek Carr is better than Johnny Manziel and Teddy Bridgewater and Blake Bortles. Like, what is everybody looking at, right? I mean, I was like, I don't get it. I mean, first off, you know how I feel about Blake Bortles. I wouldn't have taken him in around 72, right? Johnny Manziel, I don't think he was even a first-round talent. Teddy Bridgewater, I was like, wait, if he doesn't wear a glove, he can't throw? Like, what? Like, Derek Carr's the guy. So I felt an attachment to him there in that way. But the career is really interesting. It really is interesting. It starts off good. He does some good things. I mean, really, his first year, he's clutch as hell. He's making plays. Year two, they're going to go to the playoffs, right? Or and he breaks his leg late in the season, doesn't get to play in the playoff game. So there's that. Remember the Michigan State quarterback,
Connor Cook. Was that what it was? Yeah.
Right. He had to take over and play a playoff game against the Houston Texans, and it didn't go well.
Yeah.
So
I think it was year 3.
That might have been year 3. You might be right. But either way, the start of the career was very promising, and then we kind of hit a lull. And for a guy, and this is what I find interesting about his career, I think there's more physical ability than people want to give him credit for, right? That's the one thing I'll say about him. But also, it is kind of amazing that he was a starting quarterback for 11 years, and he made $200 million, and he only went to the playoffs once, and that was it. Like, I'm not trying to be funny to him or anything like that. It's just, this is 2025. We're literally in the era of, like, he started his career 2-3. I think we should bench him forever, right? Yeah. He's 2-4 in his career. Let's bench him. He should never be a starter ever again in the NFL. So it is amazing that a guy could survive for 11 years without any real big-time headlines on his resume to go, oh, look at this guy, playoffs, all the times he's gone there, MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, whatever. No accolades, no team things to really put on the resume that way, and yet he started all these games and played all these years. To me, is kind of fascinating. It's very rare. It really is rare, and that to me is maybe the most amazing thing about his career.
Yeah, I mean, he was part of a dumpster fire in
that's where we got
Las Vegas and Oakland.
You don't want to put too much on him.
Yeah, there were not many good things were happening for that franchise, and then he showed them that he could be the guy that can lead him to a 12-3 record, is what he did when he was healthy that third year.
With Rich Bisaccia, and John Gruden got fired in the middle part of the year, if you don't remember, right?
Yeah.
Here's just some other things that I think benefited him in this weird career arc, right? Because it is really odd. Again, this day and age, to go and not really go to the playoffs and do that, and yet just like the next coach comes in and says, he's your starter. Oh, yeah, he'll start for me too. Oh, he'll start for me too. I think some of that dysfunction actually played out in his favor because I think team gave him the benefit of the doubt. Like, oh, man, we've been a mess. We can't blame Derek Carr.
The least of our problems is Derek Carr.
Derek Carr, right?
Yeah.
And he works hard, and he was a good team guy and all that. Then I think John Gruden got there. We all questioned whether John Gruden would work with Derek Carr, right? Like, man, can Derek Carr handle them? Haven't you seen Derek Carr just absolutely verbally abuse Chris Sims? He used to shit on him on a daily basis. Can he really do that to Derek Carr?
Yeah.
Right? John Gruden, right? So but he handles that well. And that works well. But also within that, Gruden at the time, if you remember, everybody was like, man, he's always just ready to get rid of his quarterback and get on to the next one. This one's not good enough. Right? Like literally what we're talking about with Derek Carr. Well, we lost 2 games. Get rid of him. Give me another one. Right? That's John Gruden. He's a sign of the times too. But I think because that was so much his reputation, I think he really kind of was like, wait, I got a bad rep around the league. Everybody's always telling me I'm looking for my next girlfriend or my next wife here. Yeah. Let me try to make this work with that guy. So I think that benefited him a little bit. Then Josh McDaniels comes in and takes over, and he goes, wait, man, things were dysfunctional. He took over for John Gruden. He did a pretty good job. He's been tough. He's done all of that. Wait, yeah, I mean, only the playoffs once, but okay, let's try to see what happens here. That year, Devontae Adams, they don't like what they see. They say, see you later. You're out of here. And then he goes to New Orleans and gets another chance because it's a head coach who's going, and Dennis Allen, who's going, wait, this might be my last year. I need a quarterback. I need somebody here that can play right now. We got an older team. I can't be ushering in some young quarterback. So they take the chance on Derek Carr too. And they go with that because of the situation I think Dennis Allen is in. So it's weird in the fact that the stars aligned in some ways where it was hard on him early on in his career and not favorable. And then the stars aligned on him in some ways where it helped him kind of extend being a starter because of some of the situation around him. And I kind of find that fascinating.
Yeah, 169 starts when it's all said and done.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Or 11-year career. So now you got no Derek Carr there anymore. And so now here is the situation for the Saints, of course. New head coach with Kellen Moore. Yep. You got Tyler Shough, who you drafted in the 2nd round. You got Jake Haener, who you drafted last year, I believe, right?
Yeah.
And Spencer
2
Rattler.
years ago, I think.
Oh, was that 2 years ago? And then Spencer Rattler last year. So you got quarterbacks you've taken the last 3 years. They're all competing now. We're going to tell all 3 of these guys to roll, and they've all earned these opportunities, is what they're telling them. So
Kellen Moore said.
That's what Kellen Moore said, I believe, here. So, all right, how do you think this plays out? What are you most interested in with these 3 guys going toe to toe?
The Saints are in a transition, a rebuild, whatever you want to say, right? They got guys like Cam Jordan and Demario Davis who are 175 years old, right? And
combined.
right. And then they got some young offensive linemen and some other young talented guys. But I think it's fair to say that they're in the process of kind of rebuilding, retooling their team here. Yeah. Right, they have salary cap issues and all that. The quarterback situation itself, yes, it's one of the most underwhelming in all of football. In fact, like let's not say underwhelming. Out of the 32 teams, I don't know, this is maybe the diciest one of all. I know there's 1 or 2 others, and we're going to probably talk about here later in the show, but this is up there with it. Plus, like 0 proven commodity here, 0. I got to think, my first thought is that somebody veteran-wise, whether a team that's got 4 quarterbacks that goes, wait, we don't need all these, maybe we'll trade them for a 7th rounder or something like that, or they wait for training camp to people to get cut, they're going to bring somebody in, I would think. Right, I have a hard time thinking Kellen Moore, offensive coach, quarterback, all that's going to go into a year going, I'll just ride with young guys in my first year as a head coach. He's going to want somebody there, I think, that's at least a backup to go, hey, if things start to fall apart, at least I can depend on this guy to like kind of hold us together. He's played NFL games. He knows how to run an NFL offense. And when we got to break glass for disaster, at least I have him, right? That's, I would think. I would have a hard time believing they're going to stand still with just these 3 guys.
It's for Kellen Moore, obviously not ideal, right? But a first-year head coach, you got leeway up the wazoo here. And you really could, if you wanted to, just be like, all right, here are the 3 quarterbacks that we have, and talk to your ownership and management and be like, let's just see what we got. We'll go through year 1 and see if any of these guys steps up. We'll give them maximum reps and practice and all that stuff. So you could see them going that route as well, not feeling the pressure to have to win because it's an ultimate rebuilding year.
You're right.
So it'd be interesting to see how that would play out. But we do have some video of Tyler Shough at rookie minicamp, so I think he has started to throw here. We've seen some evidence of him out there. If we have it, do we have it, Kristen? And this is like
there we go.
Hold on, we do have it. Here we go.
Oh, right into
slow motion.
Right into your family room right here. Boom. Pretty ball, though. I mean, he throws a nice spiral. He's got a nice motion. You can see, I mean, he's tall, big guy, good athlete.
Let's see Shedeur do that.
You know, you're funny. Well, let's get into that a little bit. And as we watch him here, right? I mean, again, you know my feelings about Tyler Shough. I like him. I'm not in love with him. He's not a guy that's going to, like, the team's going to come out there. And I said this to Florio earlier today, where it's like when Josh Allen or Mahomes Lamar, like their first few days of practice, where the whole team was like, holy shit, did you see Mahomes throw the ball? Oh, my gosh, right? Or like LaShawn McCoy was, like, the first month with Josh Allen. He's like, Josh Allen's unbelievable. Josh Allen's a freak show. Josh Allen's got the greatest arm I've ever seen in my life. Like, he was saying those things. That's not the type of talent Tyler Shough has. But the beauty of Tyler Shough is the consistency and what we talked about in the process as far as the draft goes. He's NFL ready. He's been in an NFL offense. You can see him, and you have hundreds of plays of evidence of him in the pocket, making the right read, being surgical, throwing the appropriate throw, right? So that's why there's great value. He and Jaxson Dart killed interviews, right? And that whole process and the things. And I don't know if you've seen any of these interviews that the Giants have released behind the scenes with Jaxson Dart. They're intense.
Yeah.
They put you through it. So just again now, you said let's bring Shedeur Sanders. If you show up and go, I didn't study or do anything, you ruin a whole day that they had prepared for you. And Shedeur Sanders, by all due accounts, did not become prepared to do some of that stuff.
Yeah.
This is a team here in the Saints that were like, wait, we got an old quarterback who we don't really want anyways, and he's got a shoulder issue. We need a guy that's going to be a professional and knows how to play and has played as close to professional type offense as it can get in college football under Jeff Brown in Louisville. Okay, that's where this guy fits that mold. So that's why they took him. One, I think they were impressed with what they've seen on film. They're impressed by what they got in the meeting room. Wait, this kid's a little older. We know that. He's been some offenses. Ooh, he's retaining some of the things we're teaching him. He's able to teach it back. That's a big thing. On Wednesdays in the NFL, as you've heard me say before, you might get 50 new plays. You got to be somewhat smart to be able to put it all together and go, wait, I got to walk through in like 2.5 hours. I got to have a pretty clue how to run these plays. I might not be perfect, but then I got to practice after that, and I got to be perfect by then. So I better get on my P's and Q's here, right? So these are the things they're testing out in this process. He did really well in that. So, yeah, from that standpoint, it was a good draft pick because he's experienced as you're going to get for a rookie quarterback. But at the same time, do I sit here yet and just go, oh, he's the future for sure? No, I want to see that. Do I think it's talent that just necessarily goes, oh my gosh, wait till they see this guy? No, not exactly. Spencer Rattler behind him had a few moments last year, but he was 0-4 as a starting quarterback, and I certainly didn't see anything from him that made me think, ooh, he's the future either. And I know Jake Haener's not that. So that's where I just get into, I still think they can do all the things they want to do with bringing Tyler Shough along.
Yeah.
Even if they bring just some veteran, just to be there to go, first off, who's going to teach these guys how to work and be pros right now?
Yeah.
Who do they got to follow? Oh, Spencer Rattler and Jake Haener are going to lead the show? Right. You know, they're still at a point in their career. I'm not trying to be a jerk and just go, they don't know their ass from their elbow still, right? I mean, I didn't either as a second or third year quarterback. You're still learning. You're still going, oh, wait, I could have been better at this. Oh, he's preparing like that. Oh, okay, I'm going to start doing that next week, right?
It's helpful to have a template.
It's helpful to have a guy like that. I had Brad Johnson, Brian Greasy, Sean King. I had guys that I got to see and go, ooh, I like that, and I'm going to add my own little wrinkle to it, right? And that's where I just think they'll add somebody at some point.
Well, DraftKings thinks that Tyler Shough at least is the guy of the near future for the Saints, and they have the odds for who will take the first snap in week number 1, and it is Tyler Shough, -200. Spencer Rattler, +150. So fairly close, but Shough is the guy.
I bet on Shough.
And Jake Haener, +1,700. Yeah, I guess so. Although, you know, Spencer Rattler does have the benefit of
he's played
extra
a little
year.
Bit. That's right. He's been around, but it's going to be a new offense for all of them, right? So they're all going to be starting at square one as far as learning Kellen Moore and what he wants to do.
Plus, Shough is their guy.
Exactly. That's what, because Shough is handpicked.
Yeah.
Handpicked. And everything we heard and everything I heard, and I think I even told you the day after the draft, like, I think the Saints like Shough. That's what I was told. That's what I believed going into day 2 of the draft. Yeah. So they obviously had their eye on him. And, yeah, so from that standpoint, he's not a first-round pick, so he's going to get 9 lives and every chance to fail, and they're going to put him in every position to succeed. But he is handpicked by the new head coach. He is a second-round pick, a top 40 pick, right in there, or at least 40 somewhere in there.
I think so.
39. Either way, yeah, with that, he is going to be favored in the quarterback room, I think.
I don't disagree. Long term, I think. I don't disagree. I would play devil's advocate, and maybe because he is their guy and they want him to succeed and they want him to be set up to look good, is that if he's not ready in week 1, they definitely will have no problem.
No, I think
Spencer
you're
Rattler
right about
out
that.
there and be like, okay, buy him a little more time.
You're
before
exactly
he's
right.
got
You're
it under
exactly
control.
right that. You're exactly right about that. And that's where, hey, this is going to be big for Tyler Shough, too. It's going to be a lot thrown on him. The NFL, as we've heard, the game, it's different. It's going to be more physical. You're going to have to stand in the pocket there. One of the things I did not love about Tyler Shough is his ability to stand in the pocket and make throws with people around him. And I know the other people in the NFL were a little bothered by that too, right? I think you saw some of the social media clips of literally him like ducking and chucking and some of that, all that. Yeah. So this is going to be a crash course right here, right now. They got a good offensive line. They got some speed at receiver, right? We'll see what they do here, but the Saints are a team, certainly in a weird spot as compared to other teams in the NFL because of Derek Carr retiring and where they are as a full team altogether.
DraftKings Sportsbook is your home for live betting, and new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly.
Just download the app and use the promo code UNBUTTONED when you sign up.
DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours. And that concludes our discussion on the New Orleans Saints for the season. That will be the last time we talk about them.
We'll check in with them for the next draft.
When they were officially eliminated.
said something today. He goes, well, maybe this will just be a year for tanking for Arch Manning, right, to bring back.
Oh, my gosh.
Because this is where his granddaddy played, right?
Yeah.
He did that. But yeah, that's too far. You don't know yet. Kellen Moore's not thinking about tanking in year 1 for a quarterback, nor do we. The Manning's history is that they stay in school. They're not in a rush to get out, right? Peyton was there. He stayed an extra year. Eli went 5 years, right? I don't think Arch is going to be, I had one great year at Texas and I'm going on the draft. I don't expect that. So we'll see where this goes either way. And if they do want to draft a quarterback next year in the first round or something, so what? This is the great thing about the rookie salary cap right now. You're not paying like in 2008 when they drafted a quarterback and you're like, damn, he hasn't played a game, but they're giving him an $80 million contract right off the bat, huh? Right? So you're not handcuffed to these guys for very long at all because of the way the current formula is.
It's a good point. All right, we're going to listen to some rookies after this break here. Guess Who's Talking is what this segment is called. So we're going to hear people talking. We're going to guess who it is. That's coming up next.
Like, my job here isn't to prove people wrong. Like, I prove myself right. That's and I fully have self-belief, and what those people say, that's just their opinion. So I don't truly care. They don't really live in my mental space about that type of stuff. It really doesn't do anything for me. You value life and you value opportunity and just waking up every day a different way. So that's kind of why there's nothing for me to really, no matter what, in any situation, I can't really be fazed by it. It's like playing quarterback. You go down there, you may have not scored the whole game or whatever, but then when it gets to that final 2 minutes and it's time to lock in extra, you can't be in your feelings. You can't be down about anything. You still got another chance.
I mean, Shedeur Sanders is such a fascinating character.
Well said.
A lot of the times you hear him talk, you're like, man, that's a guy that gets it.
Right.
He completely gets it. You talked to him at the Super Bowl? Combine.
Yeah,
it was a combine.
Right.
You liked him, right? He said a lot of the good things. He's got the confidence, but you listen to him talk, you're like, man, that's a guy who gets it. And then you have the complete opposite when you hear reports of how he acted in the team meeting.
Well, he was misguided through the process of the draft. He needed an agent. That's where they messed up. He and his family and his dad, I think, just overestimated how much of a slam dunk top 5 pick they thought he was going to be, obviously, right? And how they should go a part of the process. And just as you've heard, he kind of took it more like, oh, you're supposed to be recruiting me, instead of like, no, you're got to impress them. And then they go, "Oh, wow, he's impressive. We want to take him." Yeah. This isn't college where we're like, "We're dying to have you because you're a 4-star or a 5-star." No, they're making an investment here. Things are different here. So yeah, they want to recruit you to a degree, but no, it's really your job to sell them on you. And that's where he failed a little bit in the process. But the things he says and the way he's acted other than that are phenomenal. Yeah. The way he handled the draft in itself was phenomenal, right? I do give him credit for that. And within that, I don't know, does it bother you, right? So I had this talk a little with Florio this morning because Florio's wants him to be a little more angry or a chip on his shoulder. And that doesn't bother me. One, what I look at, I understand a chip on your shoulder, and some people are motivated that way. Some people need external motivation. Some people are motivated internally. He's an internal guy. I can tell that. Always been able to tell that, really. I don't think he gives a damn. He's so used to his name. My dad's Deion Sanders, so he's unfazed by that. He looks at it and goes, "No, I want to be great. I want to be Tom Brady." He's been saying that for a few years now, right? So I think he looks at that, and there is beauty in that, or real smarts in that. I'm going to get up and be the best version of myself today and be the best I can be, and as long as I do that, right, things will set themselves up. Instead of sometimes, right, when you do have that chip on your shoulder, you get up angry. I'm going to show them today, right? Yeah. I'm going to do that. Then you get on the meetings and you're still like, I'm going to show them. And maybe you're not as charismatic as the way you're being. Then you get on the football field. Oh, he's open. I'm going to fit it in there. I'm going to show them. Oh, intercepted. Oh, you showed them all right with that chip on your shoulder, right? So that is being part of the quarterback, like he said. You got to stay even keel. And I don't think he's going to let that affect him. He's going to approach every day going, no, I want to be great. So I'm going to try to be great out here today and go from there. And I like the way he talks and handles himself. And hopefully he's doing all the right things in the meeting rooms and all that, to further that along as well.
I'm with you. I think you can go about it multiple ways. I think it all comes down to what motivates you to put in the extra work and to grind even when it gets really, really, really hard.
That's
right. It's like you can say, I can be like, I want to get to 15% body fat or whatever. And I can be like, and I internally motivated to do that. And I work out and I'm doing it every day. Or someone says to me, hey, dude, you can never get to 15% body fat. And that's the extra motivation I need. And now I get angry and now I'm doing it because of that. And so maybe in those cases, it does give you that motivation. But if you can find that motivation without having that chip on your shoulder, I think that's fine. It's just, can you get to that point where you're motivated enough to put in all the work and all the effort? And that's some of the questions with his conversations with Cam Ward. It's just like, want to go make a song. It's like, I think that's the question, right? Does he need that chip to give him that extra, I'm going to show you, and then I'm not doing that song anymore. I'm not doing all this other stuff because I want to prove you wrong. It's like some people need that.
No, you're right about that. Hopefully this process makes him focus more on what is most important. Maybe that's the biggest thing. Yeah. But as somebody that I could tell you that I've kind of done both, I was like Mr. External Motivation at times a little bit in my career. Oh, I got drafted in the 3rd round. I'm going to show everybody, right? I'm going to put this guy's picture on the mirror in my bathroom because I'm going to wake up thinking I'm going to outwork him and beat his ass today, right? And do all that stuff. But as I got more mature and older, I started to go, no. It's about me. And I want to be the greatest. I want to be great. That's what was getting me up out of the bed in the morning. That's bottom line what it is. And I found that to be a more... what do I want to say? Consistent existence. Exactly. As far as being motivated like that, where everything I did was, no, this is going to make me great. This is going to make me great. Instead of, this is going to show you. This will show them. I get that. That crept back into my mind every now and then. Yep. But that was more competition anyways. Like, I remember they picked that guy. I've been working hard. I'm going to be great. I'm going to show them today, right? That's as far as it went. And that's where I feel like he has a mature take on things that way, and I think it's going to serve him well in the NFL because there's a lot of peaks and valleys, as you know. And like you said, you could go to a game, and we watch games every year, and we forget about the context. Oh, man, how many games this year did Mahomes play like we just went, that was not that good, and then they won it clutch late, and we went, damn, Mahomes is amazing. Look at Mahomes, right? Yeah. He's amazing. And he didn't let, like, all the ugliness affect him when he needed to be awesome at that moment. And I think Shedeur really realizes that type of stuff.
I agree with you 100% because I think it's more reliable when that motivation comes internally, right? When it's a personal standard. It's what we talked about with John Lynch when he was on here, right?
Definitely.
It was like in practice, they had a personal standard of, like, no complete passes. It wasn't because they wanted to make you a rival or, like, I'm going to show Sims. It was because they had their own personal standard.
Exactly right.
They didn't want to drop below.
Exactly right.
And that was
one of the
consistent.
greatnesses of the New England Patriots to me is this conversation, right? I've been around and know other teams like where they were really good, but it was all over the place. Because one week we hate this team, we're going to be focused and all over it. They embarrassed us last time. Then the next week it's like, well, this team's no good. We're going to kick their ass. So there's no motivation, right? You can see there's great teams that go through those peaks and valleys. The one thing I learned when I went to New England and worked there, I was like, man, they don't really give a crap about anybody. They really don't. They don't ever talk about another team, a rival, a coach they hate. Every day, the rival is, you better be your best in here today. We expect this. Brady on the offense expects this. Bill, with his coaches in the defense, expect this. And if you don't, you're going to be miserable because they're going to put the chip on their shoulder just going, you're not living up to our standard or doing what we want you to do, right? We're not worried about, oh, you didn't get picked by this guy or this team didn't sign you in free agency. And to your point, I think the word you said, there's a more consistent way and less peaks and valleys when you're internally motivated over externally motivated.
I agree. We have some video of both Shedeur and Dillon Gabriel, and while we watch, I want to give you a line from Dillon Gabriel. Says, I love it because of who it is. I think just for both of us, you can learn from one another, but also it's not just us two in the room. I only know one way to prepare. I only know one way to work, and that is as the starter. So as we watch Shedeur and some of his throws.
That was nice. I know Shedeur, Shedeur made some good throws, certainly. I like watching all this stuff because, I mean, again, we don't have film to watch right now, so I sit here at home when I'm eating breakfast and stuff, and I flip through team social media just to go, oh, let me see some Shedeur highlights. Let me see him throw the ball. He is a good deep ball thrower, as you could see.
Yeah.
He can do it with ease. He plays big, right? He's got great feel on these type of throws, whether to lead the guy and drop it in the bucket or throw it behind him and make it a back shoulder. He's very good in that department. His accuracy is real.
Oh, he's patting the ball still. They
got the read on him. That was just supposed to be intercepted. I mean, so, yeah, all of that. Now, I also think, look at Kevin Stefanski reaching out there. I like it.
Okay. All right, yeah.
A little off target. Maybe he was protecting him from the defender. Maybe he felt a linebacker over there.
Could have been a bad pattern.
Coach.
Could have been a bad pattern,
yeah,
too.
right.
Yeah.
Maybe he's like, Coach, you're slow and white. You didn't get where you needed to go.
Here's Dillon Gabriel, the lefty.
There he is, who throws it. He's another guy that throws the ball down the field. Now, to me, he throws with more effort, right, than you see Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah.
Like you can tell right there. Shedeur Sanders threw a post route for 50 yards and didn't use the effort Dillon Gabriel just did for a 20-yard throw, right? And you could see he does look small, but the ball comes out of his hands. It pops. It definitely does, and it spins well too. Now, through the week, and not just the Cleveland Browns social media, right, this is what's going to be tough on Dillon Gabriel. He's in a tough spot. He really is. The public social media, not the Cleveland Browns team social media, but the public social media favors Shedeur Sanders, right?
Yes.
Oh, look at this dime by Shedeur. Look at this dime. And then I saw this 9 million places. Oh, here's the Browns' third-round pick. Look at this, right? This was everywhere. So he's going to have to fight the battle of public opinion where most people are going to be on Shedeur's side. And he's going to have to deal with that, let alone here's Shedeur and the cultural, young icon he is. Here we are taking a picture as the rookies. Here goes Quinshon Judkins. Go watch as you let it continue to play. They're going to do a pose. The first pose they come up with is Shedeur's pose. Let me show you my rollie and put the wrist up. And how do you think Dillon Gabriel feels about that? He's going, damn, here's the rookies. I'm one of the rookies. He's like, wait, what are you guys doing? They're like, we're doing the Shedeur. I mean, so he's really got an uphill battle. So not only does Shedeur have the proverbial chip on his shoulder, right, just because he didn't get drafted and all of that. And, yeah, there's that, and he doesn't handle it like a chip, but you know what I'm saying.
Yep.
And now Dillon Gabriel's got to deal with, wait, I was the guy that was drafted before Shedeur, and they're going to talk about Shedeur a whole lot more than me. And more than likely, the guys in the locker room are going to gravitate towards Shedeur more than me. And that's a weird thing and a weird existence, and I feel bad for him there. But, hey, it's NFL football, and what he'll realize, too, it's about you, big guy. It's just about you. You go out there, do your thing every day. Don't worry about all the other crap out there. The coaches will see it for what it is, and just trust in that process right there.
And he was drafted ahead of Shedeur, and at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. He already won in the game of the NFL draft.
Yeah.
All right, so now time to say, guess who's talking? We just saw Shedeur talk. He did a great job there, but some other rookies talked as well. And so we have their line.
Okay.
And so we're going to guess who
Don't
said
uncover
this
the
line.
answers too quick, okay? We're going
to play it. We're going to hear it.
We don't want to hear you say it.
All right. Well, I didn't know
we'd
that
rather hear the real
Sometimes
players.
I call for things, and they go, Ahmed, stop calling for things. We don't have it quite yet. Yeah. So
stop putting us on the spot in the production room.
Yeah, I'm going to quit directing from that host chair. All right, so this is quote number 1, I guess. We can play it then.
Did you guys hear me good when I was out there? Yeah. No, I feel like it's been super fun. Quite honestly, it's been something that I've always wanted to do, and I've always kind of practiced it, on my own, or kind of just messing around with buddies and whatnot. But I think it's always a little bit of a transition. It really goes for anybody from the college level to the NFL level. The cadence is different no matter where you've been at. So you're always going to have a little bit of a learning curve, but it's something that really excites me, and I think that you have so many opportunities and advantages with the cadence, and you can do so many different things that can take advantage of a defense. So definitely something that I wanted to continue to excel at each and every day.
I mean, this is right up your alley. Cadence talk.
Cadence talk.
Whether it be grip talk or cadence talk, this is right in our wheelhouse right here.
It's a real thing, especially for a rookie. I got to think that's Jaxson Dart.
It has to be. It's
that's
become a
been
thing with
talk
him
up here, right?
Well, because with the Gruden,
the clap and all
he's
this.
like, what was your cadence?
Yeah.
That was it. That's all we did.
Right.
Which I always assumed he probably could say words loudly.
Yeah, I always thought he could too. He had the potential.
I feel like that wasn't quite a concern of mine, but I guess it is a thing to be able to have the rhythm and the volume.
Very
and all that
big,
stuff.
very big. It's the NFL. The difference between a win and a loss is minute. The difference in talent is minute. We talk about the defensive line all the time and all these freak shows that are there right now. These offensive linemen want to make sure they have one advantage and let me get off the ball quickest, right? So they're looking for consistency and clues within the snap count to help them do that. Let alone if we can continue to do that and sound the same all that time, we could start to play with the defense's head a little bit and get them off kilter. Maybe go a little quicker on go second color, blue 80, blue, all of a sudden. Okay, whoa, that's so, wow, they were in a rhythm of blue 80, set hut, right? They've been hearing that 10 times in a row. Now you get them with the set hut, right? Yeah. And all of a sudden they jump off sides. So you get the pass rushers to kind of, wait, I can't get a good jump. I can't ever get a feel here for how this cadence is playing out. Very important. And the consistency in the way you say it and rolls off, right? If you go blue 80, said, everybody's going to jump off sides, right? Yeah. So there's certain things that's got to roll. You're going to practice that in front of the team. It's going to be embarrassing, right? And Brian Dable, I saw one of the clips when Jaxson Dart was there. He made him say it in the meeting room, right? You're there by yourself. You're like, am I really yelling this to myself and a few other grown men about the snap count? But, yeah, it is that serious. So that's a big thing, and he'll learn. And as you know, the great ones, and I think the two best in the game right now are Rodgers and Mahomes, where – yeah, I've lulled them to sleep. It's been 7 or 8 pass plays in a row where I've just gone, set hut, and now you get them with that hard count or something there, and you get a free 5 yards on a 3rd and 5 or whatever, and that's where there is great importance in it.
We have some video of Jaxson Dart throwing at minicamp as well, and I think, too, it's about getting the offside, obviously, but it's also probably more times than not just making it so that they can't get that quick jump, right? It's not about drawing them offside, it's about making them delay a half a second.
Yeah, sure. Later. Exactly right. That's why you want to change it up. And then everything else is you just want it to sound the same rhythm and sound time after time to where your guys can get off the ball the quickest. Really, here's a normal NFL snap count. Blue 85, set hut. Set hut has to be one word. Set hut. Because why is it one word? Because the offensive linemen are really going on set. They are. Okay. The ball's being snapped on set. And if you really got somebody in real time, the hut usually when they're saying hut, the ball's already in motion and being snapped, right? So that's their little cue to get going, and here we go. And we're watching Jaxson Dart, who
you like those?
I do. I mean, Jaxson Dart throws a pretty ball. He can make all the throws. Again, it's not going to be wow, oh my gosh, laser, do all that type of stuff.
He's got the Eli endorsement already.
Yeah, Ole Miss endorsement. They're hanging out. I'm sure
good.
they knew each other a little bit already, but it's cool. And it's cool that he's there. He got an Eli, who I'm sure he knew already. I know my dad's going to be going down there soon. He's excited to meet Jaxson Dart and be a part of that. You know, he's getting indoctrinated into the Giants culture, which, you know, we might not be great here as of late, but there is great culture. There's great history. It is one of those buildings you walk in and go, damn, man, there's Lawrence Taylor. There's 4 Super Bowl trophies, you know. There's Michael Strahan, there's Phil Simms, there's Eli Manning. Holy crap, man, there's been some ballers in this building that, like Bill Parcells, that like winning means everything, right? And I think he's probably getting a good feel for that.
That is cool to see that with Jaxson, to see that with Abdul, trying to honor the history and the heritage there.
That's
the
one thing Dayball and I think Joe Shane have done a great job, is keeping the old players around. And like for people like my dad, they do appreciate it.
Sure.
You know, my dad's a Giant. He bleeds blue. So just to get a call every now and then, like, hey, come down to practice, or come watch this workout with us, or whatever. I mean, it means the world to the old players. They got nothing going on anyway, so it makes them, you know, feel included and all of that. Another thing, too, with the old hand clap and all that, people do that in the NFL. I mean, people act like that's not like the NFL's never done. Like, no, you know, we see plenty of teams do that. The leg, too, the clap, either way. And all of that, what happens there is, who gives a shit if you clap or if you raise the leg? Nobody's really going on the listening of the clap. What happens is, okay, he claps, the center sees that, and then he does his little motion with his head, and the linemen know how that motion goes to where they know when it's about to be snapped, and they go off of that. They're not going, oh, he clapped, right? Because usually you clap and you have to wait a second. So if you just wait, you're going to jump off sides. They go. That's why you'll see the clap, and the center looks to the left, he looks to the right, then he comes back to the center, and they know, oh, now it's being snapped.
Yeah.
Right? And that's how they go. So it's not a huge deal here.
And a half second before everyone else, the left tackle goes, and that's the way the NFL
nobody calls it. Let's
works
just go.
Right now. That's a part of being in the NFL in 2025.
Right.
All right, number 2. This is what we know. A little context clues. This is a player on being drafted in round number 6 here. So this is, guess who's talking?
If you're not on your game one day, you know, you can be gone. It's a business, and you know, I think the things that I went through and learned how to push through adversity and how to come back from, you know, bad things. Like I learned so much, and that gave me you know, a pretty hard head, and you know, I got a chip on my shoulder, and I like to carry that with me, and I'm just excited to be here, man. It's, you know, I'm blessed, and it's couldn't be a better place. You know, this. You know, the Steelers is built on blue collar, you know, and that's how I like to play, man. Chip on my shoulder, like hard nose. That's what I'd like to be about.
We feel robbed, Pete, because we knew before he said Steelers.
Yeah, well, I kind of had a thought. I did. I wasn't sure. I mean, I was thinking of him and Kyle McCord, right off the bat.
I thought Quinn Ewers maybe, but
maybe
Quinn Ewers
too. I thought
around
Quinn
later.
Too. Yeah.
So Will Howard, the Ohio State quarterback, now a Pittsburgh Steeler. They got their quarterback. You know, who needs Aaron Rodgers? They got Will Howard, who had a terrible combine, I might say.
Yeah.
Right? You didn't like the way he looked at the combine.
No.
But a lot of people believed him. You heard a lot of teams liked what he brought, and so he's going to play. He's going to play with a chip on his shoulder.
Well, yeah, and I get that. He's probably looking at it going, from his standpoint, he's going, wait, I played pretty good football last year. We won the national championship, right? I dealt with some adversity, overcame that, went to a new team. Wasn't easy, right? We had hit some bumps in the road, a few hiccups, but we overcame all of that and still won it all. So I understand that, but at the same time, yeah, I mean, Will Howard, you know my thoughts and my feel of him overall, and he was one of those interesting things. Again, you get into social media, and we talked about this a lot in the draft process, the name, the helmet, the record. People want to draft just off of that. Oh, he was Ohio State. They won the national championship. He was a quarterback. I mean, how many times did I have people on my Instagram or Twitter looking at it going, why isn't Will Howard being talked about as a first-round or a second-round quarterback? I don't know, because his arm is below average? I mean, because he's not incredibly accurate and he's not the greatest athlete in the world? Other than that, he should be the first pick of the draft. And I'm not trying to get on Will Howard, but it just, again, too, the expectations. And I feel like I heard this a lot with Quinn Ewers and and Will Howard in the process. And again, I think it's because of the emblem on the helmet. People look at that and they go, wait, they're a top 5 team in the country. He's the quarterback. He's got to be one of the top quarterbacks in the draft, right? No, there's a bunch of first-round players on the football team with them. And the quarterback's getting the benefit of how awesome the team is there. But he's experienced. He's tough. He's played big-time football. And I do think he'll be a reliable backup. And maybe there's some things that he can expand in his game. Maybe he can be one of those guys that can adjust his throwing emotion and find ways to get more RPMs and miles per hour on the ball and get a stronger arm. We've seen quarterbacks do that. We'll see where it goes. He's in an interesting spot right now. I mean, it's just him and Mason Rudolph, but I expect Aaron Rodgers to be walking through the door anytime soon.
We got some video on him as well, doing some drills, taking some snaps out there. What do you see? Okay, well, he says not an athlete. Chris, look at this.
No.
Wow.
And I don't want to say he's a bad athlete, but the modern day quarterback NFL good athlete, right, is kind of like a pretty sick athlete right now. We're talking about guys that are special.
They're telling him not to go full. That is not Will Howard at full speed. We're doing him a disservice.
No, this is just warming up. Yeah. I do love Will Howard's body. He's big. Right? I do love that.
He looks like an Elvis Gerbach, Todd Collins, former Michigan guy who's going to be in the league
that kind of look.
13 years.
He's got good, thick legs, right? I mean, he's a possible Big Butt Award winner. Yeah. They're doing a walkthrough right now where he's just supposed to kind of go through the reads and do that.
Save your arm for the season.
I don't know why they're not throwing it. But, yeah, and that's the next level of things we have to see, too. And maybe those are things he can learn from Aaron Rodgers. His motion, the way he throws, right, he doesn't use his body all that well to throw the ball. Okay. He throws a little too all-arm, and his release is a little slow. But if there's some things he can fix and watch Aaron Rodgers, he might go, oh, wait, why do you do that, Rodgers? Or why do you get your shoulder there? Oh, wow, when I do that, the ball does pop out of my hands, and maybe he can improve in those areas.
All right, so Will Howard.
We're 2 for 2 is what we're saying.
And he wishes he was not part of Guess Who's Talking, because that did not go that well for Will. But the Steelers believe in him, and hopefully he does well
at some point, somebody's got to speak some reality here. I don't know, but because I see it too much. I still am seeing it. Like, I can't believe Will Howard was there in the 6th round. And I want to be like, well, I don't know. Who were you listening to in the draft process that was telling you he was going to go in the top 50 picks of the draft? Yeah. Other than that you just saw him on TV in the Final Four of college football playoffs.
I agree. Yeah. I think you're a good guy, Will. I think you're a really good guy. All right, our next player. This is everyone who passed up on me is going to have to pay. Ooh, wow, I can't wait to hear this one.
The chip on your shoulder a couple weeks ago after you were picked on day 2 instead of day 1. Is that something that you leave behind on draft weekend, or is that something you're carrying with you here?
No, that's staying with me forever. So everybody who passes upon me got to pay.
Wow, you know what? My gut is telling me.
I feel like I heard this already, like this week, and it's
got to be a guy who,
it could be end of the 1st round type of guy here, right?
It's round 2, Pete is saying. My gut is saying it is either Mike Green, who fell, obviously, or Luther Burden, who also fell.
Oh, and you don't think it's Will Johnson from Arizona, because he's the other one.
It definitely could be Will Johnson.
I want to say it's Will Johnson. Mike Green would be my second one. I'm with you there. That's where my mind went.
All right. Then I'll go with Luther Burden then, because it's the other of the 3.
You won.
Wow, okay.
Way to go. Good job, though.
I kind of remembered because he was pretty short with you guys, too. He doesn't really elaborate.
He doesn't expand on the answers a whole lot.
That was what was that, 14 seconds right there? And that included the question. So
well done, though.
A man of few words there.
Yeah.
Process of elimination. Yeah, what do you think about it? He says they got to pay. And that's a popular thing, obviously. Now all the players remember the guys who were taken ahead of them. It's gotten a little cliche at this point. But if you can internalize that and use it as internal motivation, more power to you.
He's the guy that I've told you scares me more than anybody that I left out of my top 5 wide receiver rankings, right? I mean, he was the guy that through text messages the night before the rankings and all that. I was like, Luther Burden, I'm not sure, right? So I understand what he's saying there, and he has the type of talent that could prove us all wrong.
Yeah,
definitely. I mean, he's one of those guys with the ball in his hand. He could be special. And within this offense and this coach that we know is running things there in Ben Johnson, he's pretty damn good at getting people in space. So you look at that and go, okay, while he works on some other things in his game, they'll just get him the ball and let's watch out. So I'm excited. I mean, again, they got a lot of weapons to play with and a great young nucleus there in Chicago, and he certainly can be dangerous.
All right, we got some video on him as well. And Pete notes that does he realize the Bears also passed up on him as a first-round pick. Which for most wide receivers, they do end up turning on their own team.
But at the end of the day, he took it. And I see that 87, and, man, do I get shades of Mushin Muhammad right there, right? Back in the day. It was because he went from Chicago to Carolina or Carolina to Chicago. Wait, I'm all confused in my head here.
Yeah.
I know.
I think Carolina to Chicago.
That's why I know you're –
yeah, I think
it was Carolina, then Chicago, right?
I think so.
But yeah, bringing out the 87, that's what I thought of right away.
Which Pete says he did that because he said, what? It was the only number left? So, yeah, he didn't not a whole lot of thought in that one.
Some of these guys are screwed. And some of these guys, when you get there, you just go, okay, yeah, I'll take that number. And I'll wait for blah, blah, blah to get cut at the end of training camp and then take his number.
Yeah.
He'll have a good feel of who's going to be cut. He will. By the end of OTAs, he's going to go, wait, I got my eye on 5 numbers here. I know these guys aren't going to make it. Which one can I get? Right? So that he'll be in something different, I think, by the time we get to the regular season.
All right, Luther Burden, I did like watching his tape in college. He's kind of like my guy. You know?
I hear you.
Contact balance after the
Hopefully
catch.
he has a better year than Malachi Corley, who is your guy as well.
Hey, watch out for him year 2, bounce back year. All right, our next player said, I looked at all them zeros on the page. I think he's talking about his first paycheck.
What was yesterday like for you signing your first contract?
It was pretty cool, especially once I looked at all them zeros on the page. That's when I didn't realize how much money I was getting, but now it's definitely a blessing for sure.
Well, I like him already.
I like it too.
I mean, that really could be anybody.
Gosh,
that could be anyway. I'm guessing first round probably.
Yeah,
high first round. He was a top 10 pick, Pete says.
Oh,
offensive lineman. I can see that. So
I know that wasn't Will Campbell. I know that. I'm going to say it was Kelvin Banks.
I'll agree. I'll go with you. I'll double down on that.
Oh, it was Membou.
Oh, wow.
Damn it.
Okay.
Damn it. Yeah, well, that's right. Welcome to the NFL. Lots of zeros on the checks every week. That's going to be the great thing for sure. And then, he's going to realize, damn, if I get really good at this, holy cow, there'll be zeros that'll never end on the end of these checks.
Yeah.
That'll be impressive, but cool. That's, I think, the first time I feel like I've really heard him speak.
I kind of thought because he's such a big guy, he might have a
little more
deeper
baritone.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I'm Membou. I play for the Jets.
Yeah, he'll get there. So he's out there because he signed his deal, and he's signed, sealed, and delivered. There are some players who have not signed their deal. Yeah, Bengals defensive end, edge player Shedeur Stewart.
Right.
A linebacker, Demetrius Knight.
Yeah.
Not going to do on-field work until their rookie deals are done, and so a little hiccup in the beginning of the career for those guys.
Yeah, but I don't blame them. And I've been getting a lot of people from Cincinnati calling me, wanting me to go on the podcast or radio, whatever, because of Shedeur Stewart.
Yep.
Right? It's a very hot-button topic there because he only had 1.5 sacks. So they don't think he should have been drafted in the first round.
And now he's not signing his deal.
And now he's not signing his deal. Now, okay, it's fair to question the draft. I get that. This is where the team has to help players out a little bit. So they're already under the spotlight for drafting him. You need them to play right now. You need Shedeur Stewart to play and start opposite of Trey Henderson whenever you figure that damn contract out. And we know Jermaine Pratt wants to be traded, and that's why they drafted Demetrius Knight, because he's ready, NFL ready right now, and you need him to play too. So people are already, should they have drafted them that high? And now you're making them look kind of stupid in the public eye, right? And I know not intentionally, but it's not a good look for them. Well, we shouldn't have drafted them, and now these guys don't even want to practice for us. And it's like, no, they shouldn't. There's things about this. They're being advised by professionals and guys that are like very well-schooled agents in this department.
That have other players who probably did sign already.
Exactly right. So, and this is like the easiest formula in the world. It basically writes itself.
Yeah.
So what is so bad here? And that's where I just go to Cincinnati. Why do you start the era off here with these two kids and make them look bad? And that's what I don't love about it. And they shouldn't go out on the field until they're protected financially the right way.
Yeah, all right. That's it.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate because you want it to be all positive when you start here and already a little bit of negative creeping in.
Well, it's basically copycat. It's like this guy signed for this
So
last year.
What is the problem?
And now this year you just get a little bit more than what the guy did last year.
Or fully guaranteed in the second round if you're the Houston Texans.
It's something about the guarantee to the money, the guaranteeing of the money and how it was spread out.
Yeah.
That the training camp bonus, that was working out. Either way, the agent didn't like it, and neither player likes it, and they're not going to play until that's taken care of.
Bengals saving money for a new stadium. Maybe they really do have to look at something
I don't know
like
what
that.
they do.
Who knows? All right, last one. This is about a surreal situation. Oh, I like this one already.
The hometown Lions.
Yeah, that was from my senior year. They did like some question thing. It was, what professional team would you play for? And of course, it was the Detroit Lions. So
You've played at Ford Field before. I mean, how special will it be this time running out of the tunnel, with the actual Lions jersey?
yeah, I mean that was a dream in and of itself, to go out there and win a state championship in Ford Field. Little did I know I'd be back a little bit later wearing a Lions jersey.
And winning a championship once again.
Do you know who this is?
Yeah, Hudsonville Christian TeSlaa. So he's a West Michigan guy. He grew up as a Lions fan.
Okay.
And thank you, Pete. Thank you for that. Soon to be known as either Electron or Cybertron.
Oh, right. I think I still like Electron the most.
All right, cool.
I
Thank
do.
you.
But there he is. So I did not know that little background about him. That's interesting there.
Yeah, he grew up as a Lions fan, West Michigan, went to the team meeting, one of the 30-player visits, in a Lions jersey, and Brad Holmes was like, oh, God, what is this guy? Try hard over here. But he's like, no, this is actually I had this, 10 years ago as a kid.
Yeah.
So he was like, what better time to wear it than
funny.
my official visit here to the Lions?
It's always cool to see a story like that.
It is cool. It is cool. I agree. All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, we got time for just a few of my stats. I will read a stat, and you'll just go like, that's interesting, Ahmed. It's a really fun segment next.
That's interesting.
Yeah. All right, now back to a segment here on Chris Sims Unbuttoned that we like to call Ahmed Reads Stats.
I like these.
It's the antithesis of really what you do, because you're not a stats guy. You're just like, all right, what are the numbers not telling us? You're a context. But I like to throw stats at you so that you can either debunk them or be like, oh, it's telling us this, or it's telling us more.
I like that.
More to the story.
I do
So
like
I just
it.
looked at stats.
Yeah.
For it. So we got a few of them here before we have to go. And we'll start with one that's topical now with Derek Carr. I was looking up some sack percentages here for the quarterbacks out there, which ones get taken down, which ones don't. And, of course, that can be for many different reasons.
Exactly.
I don't need to tell you
That's
that.
right.
Derek Carr had the lowest sack percentage of any quarterback last season, 2.79%. Josh Allen was second at 2.82% because you can't bring that big man down.
That's incredible, right?
But I was thinking about that with the Saints, right? Now you go with a rookie quarterback. It's like you're already behind the 8 ball because you don't have Derek Carr, and most likely you're going to have a quarterback that will take more sacks than Derek Carr did next year.
Right. There's that. I think there's maybe an opposite side of, like, if you want to look at some silver linings and go, wait, if there was one thing that there was a problem, I think, with Derek Carr maybe the last few years of his career was getting the ball out of his hands too quickly. Remember, we talked about it 2 years ago a lot, where I kept coming in on certain days, Wednesdays, when we would break down film, and I go, man, there's people open downfield, and he's checking it down and throwing it. And that was the year, remember, people were getting on him for, like, yelling at his receivers a little too much and all that. So there was all of that. Right? But now, hopefully they'll get a guy that's maybe a little more willing to hold on the ball, make some throws down the football field.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if they'll get that from Tyler Shough. That's what we're going to see. That was one of the things that I would worry about him to a degree. But the more amazing stat there is the Josh Allen one.
It really is.
That's insane.
Because he does hold on to the ball.
He holds the ball forever. I mean, forever. Like, gets hit and then still goes, wait, I know I shook him off and other guys are coming, but I'm going to hold it a little longer. Right? So that just speaks to your right. His ability to throw it, run for a few yards when he needs to, or just avert disaster somehow, some way, and still make something happen.
Other end of the spectrum, the worst percentage, 13% sack percentage, Deshaun Watson. So, man, it was a total disaster for him. Will Levis was right, just barely above him. Caleb Williams, we knew that was a problem in college, continued to be a problem in the NFL. And then Jalen Hurts, 9.5%, which really is kind of like his Achilles heel a little bit.
That's Achilles heel, and they're a team that they, as we've talked about, it's not a lot of quick throws. A lot of it's just like, hey, is the guy open down the sideline? Do I throw a go route? Do I do all that? And then of course his ability to extend plays, he's gonna hold on the ball every now and then, and you're gonna take some sacks that way. So I get that too. The other one that was the thing that I think is, I mean, Deshaun Watson to be there with Will Levis and Caleb Williams, if that doesn't say it all, I don't know what does.
Yeah.
Right? And that he just totally lost his feel for the position, and it's over. And that's all there is to be said.
All right, some offensive, overall offensive stats here. I was looking through team offenses. Converting third downs, very important in the NFL. I don't need to tell you that. So the Chiefs were second at converting third downs in the NFL. Very good. Patrick Mahomes.
They say the Bills were one, no?
You got the Ravens third. The Bills were not one.
Okay. Hold on. Let me pull up the teams here.
Yeah, I like this.
So third downs. Wow.
It was Chiefs second, Ravens third, not Bills one.
Who are we missing here?
Not my Lions.
No. Is it the Rams?
It was not the Rams.
Wow. Hold on a second. Is it Baker Mayfield?
It's Baker Mayfield and Liam Cohen.
Yeah.
And the Buccaneers.
I'm not. I mean, I got to it eventually, but I'm not shocked. Hey, third down's a quarterback down. Third downs are down where, there's a reason you see this certain names you're talking about there on third down. The quarterback basically knows, hey, I got to make the throw. I got to make the play here. The coach usually calls a more aggressive type of play to go, hey, it's do or die here. There's no threat of the run. We got to make this work here. And the really good ones, of course, have the talent and the arm power to put the ball in those situations in some spots where the bottom half of the NFL can't do that, right? So that's where at times I do think we lose sight of, like, what a great throw is in the NFL and go, wait, no. Only Mahomes and Lamar and special ones would have fit that in there on 3rd and 11. But we can just go, well, we've seen that on Madden and a video game and blah, blah, blah. Just let's keep going. And I want to go, no. That's why they're 48% on third downs, because they make throws like that in certain situations where I could show you the bottom half of football and that ball floats in the air and gets knocked down and it's like, nope, we're punting, right? And that's where Baker Mayfield's arm is big time.
Yeah, and flip side of that?
Yeah.
Browns were the worst, below 30%,
right?
And the Bears just ahead of them. So we're noticing a theme here.
Yes,
with the teams that really struggled on third downs and overall taking sacks, doing all the worst things. What about converting touchdowns in the red zone?
Okay.
Unfortunately, this is where your team enters the chat. The worst in the NFL last year, and I didn't realize this, the worst in the NFL last year. Brian Daboll, known as an offensive genius, figuring out a way to do it, even with limited resources, could not figure out a way to do it last year. The Giants were the worst. At 43% of the time when entering the red zone did they score a touchdown.
Malik Neighbors was the only guy that was really a threat. If you took him away, you kind of probably felt good throughout. And then, after Daniel Jones goes down and he's not a part of it, I don't think there was anybody there. Like third down, red zone, it usually takes a special quarterback. You got to buy some time every now and then, or you got to be able to anticipate because the windows are open and shut so quickly that you have to have great feel, or you better have a rocket arm. And those are things that after Daniel Jones was gone, and that wasn't a strength of his either, let me just say, too, it fell off. And, yeah, that's not shocking there.
The best in the NFL? What do you think?
Just touchdown, red zone percentage. Touchdown.
Yep, getting into the red zone, scoring a touchdown.
Yeah.
74%
I want to say
of
Detroit.
the time. It was not Detroit.
No.
It was not Detroit. I'm sure they were up there.
It's not the Baltimore Ravens?
It is the Baltimore Ravens,
Okay.
74% of the time. They can do it multiple ways. I mean, that really is the key, right?
Both teams we just said there.
Yeah,
I just want to go, you can do whatever they want. I mean, they seemed unstoppable all
Ravens
year.
got one more little wrinkle
They
that
have
the
one more little
Lions
wrinkle.
don't
They have this quarterback who has 4 rockets up his ass and nobody can ever tackle.
Yeah,
exactly. But not shocked by to hear that. And say what you want about Jared Goff, right? Not the prettiest spiral, not the quickest release, but he has feel and anticipation, and his arm, pure power-wise, is way stronger than people give it credit for. It doesn't look sexy. It's not the perfect spiral that you go, ooh, look at that right there. But he can put some oomph on it for sure.
Yeah. All right, Pete, I think we got time for one more here. Is there one? Is there one you had your eye on? Because I can. Yeah, Pete's looking through here. He sees all my. He wants to. Okay, all right. I like that one.
Okay.
This one seems topical, and it kind of is in the theme of what we've been talking about the Cleveland Browns really struggling.
Okay.
It's been a Browns-heavy podcast.
We are.
So I found this one out here. So Elijah Moore last year had 102 passes thrown his way. He delivered a 44.5 passer rating to the quarterback. That is the worst of any wideout with 60 or more targets. So for context here, spiking the ball every snap would produce a 39.6 quarterback rating because you didn't throw an interception. There's like some positive out of that. You didn't lose yards, wasn't a sack or anything like that. So Elijah Moore was the worst wide receiver last year in football. Wow. I hate to do that to Elijah. No, usually my stats don't put someone on blast like that. But so it was interesting just how anemic in multiple ways Cleveland's offense was
last year. It really is. I mean, the quarterback, the passing game, it kind of all leads to itself, right? The quarterback probably throwing balls to Elijah Moore when he's covered, or it's the off timing. Elijah Moore not separating or as good as everybody thought when he came out in the draft again. Those are some things like sometimes I wish we could go back and look at the draft too. Like the ones that all the draft people thought were just slam dunks.
Yeah.
And yet we kind of were on here going, this is way too overrated. See, those ones we could forget about. Everybody, you couldn't tell anybody that Elijah Moore wasn't the top 5 receiver in that draft. In fact, you got shouted down if you did. Like, what could you not be seeing about it? Oh, my God. Well, I'm seeing that. That's what I'm seeing. And that he's just signed with a team for a really low-level contract?
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think it plays into the offense, the quarterback play, him not separating the same way. He's not a big body guy to where if he is covered, he's still going to be open and you throw it to him, right? I think there's a lot of that goes into that. But, man, a lot of it is the quarterback play as we're finding out there in Cleveland.
To end on a positive, the best quarterback rating for a pass catcher is not a wide receiver at all. It's a tight end.
Okay.
It is
Brock Bowers.
Baltimore Ravens, Mark Andrews. 140.
Damn.
140 quarterback rating.
And yet,
the
one drop he had is the most talked about play ever. I am called the most nasty names because I said Lamar Jackson didn't throw a great ball, which he didn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
He didn't.
But I mean, damn, I still have people. I'm going on Kay Adams' show here in a few minutes. I said it to her right after that game a few years ago.
It blew up then. Yeah.
It still blows up. I still get mentions on it now. I will in my Instagram and look at it and go, oh, my God, like we're still talking about this? Yeah. And then comes like, I don't like Lamar and, all these, you're a racist. And like, I'm just like, oh, my God, I can't take it. It drives me crazy, right? But whatever.
Yeah.
And Mark Andrews, he's a baller.
All right, so there you go. So we got the numbers right there. Ahmed reads stats. We started to get some graphic support for it.
Did.
I just kind of threw this together. It was willy-nilly.
Willy-nilly.
We
You've
brought
done
it
a
together
phenomenal
at the end.
job
Well
of
done,
hiding
guys.
your energy drink behind your water bottle the whole show, though. It was
free
really well done.
Yeah.
And when we hit 80 degrees, will you take your sweater off, or what do you think?
Probably I can't next time. Next time we do the pod, I'll have to go the polo. I do a polo. I have a red polo,
right?
And I have a gray polo.
Okay,
and that'll be in the
time to
rotation
break
now.
them out. Time to break them out.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the pod. We will be back not Wednesday this week. We are coming back Thursday. With the schedule release being Wednesday night. We're going to be here to break that down. We also got some interviews coming here, but we're just figuring out the scheduling of them. I don't even want to say too much, but we're going to figure that out. You'll see that coming. But subscribe, rate, review. Okay, you know where to find us. My man Ahmed, as usual, is leaving.
I am.
Another mission to poison Tarico for the Preakness so he could take over the hosting duties.
I would never
you
do that.
Sneaky assassin, you.
I would never do
How
that.
dare you? Probably tried to get on the Today Show this morning so you could do the schedule unveil, right?
Here's the funny thing. Everyone was praising me like a couple days after. I was like, wow, that was amazing. Good job, Ahmed. I did like an interview. I did a couple interviews for it.
Yeah.
5 days later, nothing.
Nothing.
It's just like it's
over.
It's like it never happened.
Back to Tarico. Right. That's what happens when you're the backup quarterback, though.
You're right.
I've been there. You come in, you play a few games. Hey, they go, the starter's healthy. And you go, man, everybody was telling me I was doing such a good job. They forget who you are. Here's your clipboard. Get back to the backup.
Yeah,
Okay?
which is pretty easy to hold the clipboard.
It is. How dare you? There was some tough stuff there. You're crazy. All right, everybody. Check us out Thursday. It'll be me, Connor Rogers, and then Ahmed's going to see the horses. Peace out. You know where to find us. Clap it up, homies.
Clap it up.
I butchered that. Yo, homies, what's up? Thanks for watching Chris Sims Unbuttoned. And just because the weather's warm doesn't mean football ain't still on our brains right here.
We are still working, so smash that subscribe button. We got all the training camp news, preseason news, everything up until kickoff night.
Thanks for watching. And again, remember to hit that subscribe button. Peace out, homies.